Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech News. Today we're going to be talking about satellites with lasers, smartphones that cost outrageous sums of money, Apple taking on Facebook and taking a moral stand on data tracking, and charging your cell phone from way across the room. This and much more after a word from our sponsors. Was that? Oh, we don't have any sponsors yet? Okay, well, time for the tech news, guys. You've heard of flagship smartphones, right? You've got your iPhone 12 Pro Mega Max Ultra Affluent, and you've got your Samsung Galaxy Fold Gold Butterfly thingy. Now, usually these phones come in at between $1,000 and $2,000, and the reason is they give you the best consumer tech available for cellular phones today. If you've got something new like perhaps a foldable phone, then maybe you can charge up to $2,000 and get away with it. Maybe. Now, Sony's taken a look at this and said, you know what? I think we can do better. Sony has rolled out the Sony Xperia Pro flagship smartphone for a whopping $2,500 US. That's $2,500 for a phone. So what is it about this phone that warrants that kind of price point? Well, it has 5G, but that's not really it. Sony says the inclusion of a micro HDMI connector is what changes this phone and differentiates it from everything else on the market. You see, Sony's going for a very niche set of users. Sony's use case is as follows. You basically have your mirrorless camera, perhaps a Sony Alpha, one of those fancy mirrorless cameras that they offer, and you connect the HDMI out to this phone and boom, you've got an instantaneous 4K display allowing you to monitor what's happening on the camera and with inbuilt camera functionality in the phone. Turns out this actually does save some people some money. For the small set of users of this particular use case, they usually tend to look at third-party devices to do this, and third-party devices charge them upwards of $1,000, $2,000 or $3,000 for a 1080p display that can be mounted on your camera, but does not have camera functionality baked in like Sony has. So Sony's selling you a phone that can also be used as an external monitor, save you the hassle of getting a phone and an external monitor, and provide you with that functionality that you so richly deserve. Who knew? $2,500 cell phone, actually a saving for some people. In other news from consumer electronics, Xiaomi, a Chinese smartphone manufacturer known also for their home appliances and electronics, have released what they call the Mi Air Charge technology, or My Air Charge technology, however you pronounce that. What it is a wireless charging technology, but it's not like anything you've seen before. It doesn't involve putting your phone or a smartphone on a little charging pad, nothing like that. This new technology is touted to allow you to walk into a room, throw your phone or smartwatch down anywhere, say on the couch or a nightstand, wherever, and the device will be wirelessly charged by the charger by beaming energy over the air to your device. Xiaomi says the device is rated at 5 watts so far for charging phones and smartphones and fitness trackers and whatnot. Pretty much anything that has wireless charging can be charged by it. And it also says that obstacles in the line of sight between the charger and the chargee will not affect charging capability at all. Now, bear in mind that this is not a new concept. Many companies have touted these concepts to be in development, but nobody's ever brought anything to the market. In fact, back when I was in university, this was a pretty popular topic of conversation. How would you do it? How much energy would you need? How far can you concentrate a beam of energy across the earth? And what are the physiological implications of people standing in that beam for extended periods of time? I don't have answers to this. Other companies have tried and so far none have come to market. But Xiaomi has a significant R&D budget, one would imagine, and a lot of intelligent people working for them. So who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Maybe true wireless charging is in our very near future. Having said that, Xiaomi has said that no consumer devices will be released this year, and they have refrained from giving any sort of timeline for any device using this technology in the future. So we'll just have to wait and see. In space tech, SpaceX, an Elon Musk company, has a bunch of satellites around the Earth with an aim to bring internet to absolutely as many people as they can, especially those in remote areas with no access to landline facilities. The product is called Starlink and aims to give everyone internet, but is right now deployed only in America. The problem with this product is that even the satellites use ground-based transceivers to bounce data off and propagate it around the Earth. So how this works is when you transmit your data from your home via your satellite transmitter, The satellite picks up that data and then sends it to a ground-based system. The ground-based system then receives that data and bounces it to the next available satellite, and so on until it reaches its intended destination. There lies the problem. If you live near a polar area, say near Alaska, there aren't any ground-based stations. Therefore, there's no access to Starlink, nor is there access to any landline. SpaceX aims to solve this problem by allowing satellites to talk to each other with lasers. Basically, now the satellite that is equipped with this laser link technology will be able to beam data to other satellites via laser, thereby avoiding going through a ground-based system. The laser link allows satellites to communicate with other satellites not only in its plane but also in adjacent planes. What this does is not only provide internet to people in remote areas without the need for installation of ground-based systems, but also reduces the latency involved, because now your data is not hopping from ground to satellite to ground to satellite. It's just hopping from satellite to satellite and then to the intended destination. So you can provide faster internet to more people in more remote areas. Currently, the technology is only equipped in 10 of its satellites, but SpaceX does intend to roll this out to all of their satellites in the future, or a large number of them anyway. Now, to those of you who might be thinking this sounds like a significant amount of investment for a very small, sparsely populated area, well, SpaceX did point out that not only can retail consumers use this technology, but it is also available to the government, which hints at government funding in order to provide connectivity in remote polar areas, which might be strategic to the government as well. In TechSocial, we talk about WhatsApp now requiring a biometric verification before you link your WhatsApp account to your computer. So when you link it to your PC, you will need to use biometric validation first to do so, in an effort to ramp up security measures after the recent worries by consumers after they updated their privacy policies, in a move that seemingly benefits Facebook and increases user data tracking. Speaking of user data tracking, Apple has made the news recently by announcing its rollout of iOS 14. Which is not exactly newsworthy, is it? No. What is newsworthy is a new feature that's rolling out with the new version of iOS. You see, the feature allows Apple to ensure that third-party app developers get user permission before enabling user data tracking. So now when you install a third-party application, say Google News or Facebook, if they intend to track your data across other apps and websites, they need to ask you first. As far as we know, it's only a one-time request that comes as a notification. And if you say no, then the apps cannot track your data across other websites and applications. To explain this further, Apple has released a white paper called A Day in the Life of Your Data. And what this does is basically illustrates a father and a daughter spending their day together, and it shows you what kind of data is being gathered, tracked, and how that data is being used to send targeted promotional material to your cell phone. If you'd like to see that, the link is in the description down below. It's on the Apple website as well. But basically what it says is a lot of these third-party apps tend to track your user data even when you're not using those apps specifically. So even if you're out of the Facebook app is tracking you across other apps, other websites, or if you walk into a toy store, then they know you walked into that toy store. That sort of data is stored and used towards sending you more targeted promotional advertising. Now, the obvious question is, if I say no to user data tracking, will the app not allow me to use it at all? And to this, Apple has clarified that in the terms and conditions are very clearly specified that if third-party applications are denied user data tracking, they still have to provide the users with full functionality of the app, whatever full functionality might mean. That is nebulous, and that will depend on a case-to-case basis. Predictably, this move has led to much criticism from obviously marketing organizations, but also from none other than Facebook. Shocking, right? I know. Facebook, in retaliation, has taken out an entire newspaper advertisement, like a full-page newspaper advertisement, telling us how this move benefits Apple and does not benefit small business at all. In fact, it goes against small businesses in a big way, because that's what Facebook is really about, right? It's about small business, guys. Now, Facebook states that as a result of this move, small businesses might have to charge users for their apps as opposed to just running advertisements and gaining revenue through those, which is a fair point. Facebook also goes on to mention that Apple's move is targeted against its own messenger apps in order to promote things like iMessage over other apps like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp Messenger. Although it must be stated that WhatsApp and Facebook Messengers will still work as long as they don't track your data across other apps and websites. So we're not entirely sure what Facebook has a problem with, but it might have something to do with the fact that Facebook made $28 billion in ad revenue alone last quarter. Probably not, right? Surely that has nothing to do with it. In a recent conference, Tim Cook said the following, and I quote, "We should not look away from the bigger picture. At a moment of rampant disinformation and conspiracy theories juiced by algorithms, we can no longer turn a blind eye to the theory of technology that says all engagement is good engagement, the longer the better, and all with the goal of collecting as much user data as possible. Too many are still asking the question, how much can we get away with, when they need to be asking, what are the consequences?" That's pretty interesting, and we'll have to see how Apple and Facebook contend with it going forward. Google has not taken a stand on this matter yet, and they've just simply said that they will adapt to the new rules that Apple is laying down. Facebook, on the other hand, is taking a more hands-on approach. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I'll be covering that in the tech news for sure. In other tech social news, and intersect with gaming news in fact, is the news about GameStop. I'm sure all of you have read a lot of articles about GameStop. If you haven't, I will give you a very quick primer on what is happening. First of all, GameStop is a company that has brick and mortar stores where you can go and buy and sell video games and video game consoles. The video gaming industry is moving to an online-only model where people just buy subscriptions to video game passes or video games themselves online, and they store it on their computers and delete it when they need be, but there are no physical discs involved. A lot of corporate investors believe that GameStop is not evolving fast enough to keep up with this model, and they may go out of business. Some of the corporate investors we're talking about happen to be hedge funds. What hedge funds do is basically bet on a company going under or their stock devaluing significantly. A hedge fund basically short sells a stock. So what is a short sell? Okay, there are numerous videos on YouTube telling you what a short sell is, so I will just take care of the very basics. Essentially, if a stock is worth $100 and I'm a hedge fund and you're a retail investor, I will come to you and say, look, I will sell this stock to you a month from now at 110. Now, assuming that you think that the stock is going to 150, you think it's a great deal. A month from now, the stock's worth 150, I'll buy it at 110, make $40 on it, easy profit. As a hedge fund, I'm betting on it going down to $50 or so. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'll sell it to this guy for $110, it'll be worth $50, so I make $60. Whoever comes on the right side of that makes money, the other guy loses money. That's basically it. Short selling is when the hedge fund assumes that the stock is going down and bets on that. What happens though is if that stock then goes up in value, the hedge fund still has to sell at the agreed price. There's no reneging. So now what's happened is a bunch of retail investors got together on a Reddit forum called Wall Street Bets and decided to buy the stock and drive the price up. So they bought the stock, thereby reducing the amount of supply of the stock in the market, and by buying the stock, they're increasing demand and raising the price. To the point where GameStop has increased 1,500% in the last month or so. This incredible rise in price has basically put hedge funds on the back foot. Now the hedge funds owe a lot of money and they have gone crying to the regulator, asking the regulators to step in and do something about it. You see, the problem is hedge funds and corporate investors have done this in the past. It's basically a form of market manipulation. It's sort of taken for granted that it happens. And previously, they've gotten away with it scot-free and even been bailed out by the governments in certain cases. In this case, the retail investors have done it to them. Now, this is not the first time it's happened. Usually, a big investor will go after another investor and do it. There are examples of this happening in the past as well. But I can't think of a single time where a bunch of retail investors have come together and decided to band together and buy the stock and outwit a bunch of hedge funds. That is pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, it is one form of market manipulation or the other. So what the regulator does with this in the future will basically dictate how they're going to deal with it if it happens again. GameStop itself is now valued much higher than they should be valued, but they are planning to turn their business model around. So who knows? Maybe they'll justify the price increase over time. Maybe they won't. We'll just have to wait and see. That's about it from the tech news today, guys. There are a few more stories which are developing, which we will cover in the next tech news, but thank you for tuning in. Till next time, stay happy, stay peaceful, but above all else, stay colorful. Bye.